Då hälsar vi nästa bolag välkomna som är Scandion Oncology med deras vd Bo Rode Hansen. Och därmed lämnar jag över ordet till dig, Bo. Varsågod.
Thank you, and I will do this in English so you won't be stuck with my Danish. First of all, it's a pleasure to have been invited here to present at the Aktieportföljen live today. And I'm also honored to present Scandion Oncology. My name is Bo Rode Hansen, and I'm the CEO of Scandion, and I've been that since October of this year. Scandion is a Danish biotech company with phase 2 compounds, and we are listed on the Swedish Spotlight Exchange. I really want to create a cancer drug resistance company. And this is why I decided to join Scandion, first at the board level, and then subsequently now as CEO, where I took the helm. Scandion was founded in 2017 by Professor Niels Brunner and Jens Stenvang. And it was based on decades of experience in the area of cancer drug resistance. It's also based on research on our most advanced compound, SCO-101, from Saniona at the University of Copenhagen. So our life is really about changing cancer drug resistance, which is a major problem in modern medicine. Drug resistance is commonly understood when it comes to antibiotics, where we know that we have to be careful with giving too many antibiotics to our kids or domestic animals, and in order to not confer resistance. But it's a different matter when it comes to cancer drugs. We've just announced a rights issue to raise 236 million Swedish krona, which are guaranteed and which helps us to develop and advance our first-in-class drug, SCO-101, our pipeline, and our company further towards commercialization. So with that in mind, I think that we should shift the slide. There we go. Sorry about that. With that in mind, I think I have to start with a disclaimer. So this is just a forward-looking statement. Let's skip that fast and go into the presentation, where I really want to tell you the what, the how, and the who of what I'm going to tell you today. My presentation is giving you the helicopter view on Scandion, our technology and pipeline, and then I will identify the market we aspire to and tell you about our strategy and plans to commercialize through partnerships and collaborations. Finally, I will share with you some details from our rights issue, so please stay tuned now. Now, Scandion at a glance, it's really about drug resistance, as I said. And what is less appreciated is really the fact that the drug and cancer drug resistance leads to many losses in cancer. And this is the problem that we're actually trying to fix. So the real problem here is the fact that 90% of all losses in cancer are due to resistance to cancer drugs. And when you think about that, I mean, this can be resistance to chemotherapy or other drugs. We all know someone who's been with the terrible situation with a cancer diagnosis and maybe have had the message, there's nothing more we can do for you. So this is what we are trying to change. And our solution to that is called SCO-101, which is a pill. SCO is the first in class with well-documented mechanisms to block resistance. It has been found safe to use in humans, and it has shown to block resistance towards chemotherapy, which is going to be used, you can say chemotherapy is going to be used many years from now, and it can also block resistance to towards other cancer drug types as well. So we are currently studying the impact experimentally with new and also the very attended immunotherapy, which is a great concept as well. And we're trying to see if we can also work on resistance there, because the immunotherapy lacks the broad efficacy. So let's look at the vision behind Scandion Oncology. To understand the concept, there's a little cartoon here, which shows the vision for treating a person who comes in. And the first avatar here is a blue tumor. The tumor consists of sensitive cells and already drug resistant cells. And as we treat it with a conventional chemotherapy, the sensitive cells will be killed, and then the patient will be left with some resistant cells that can then unfortunately recur. This is the problem that we are trying to fix by adding SCO-101 together with the chemotherapy, either early or late in the cancer, with the aim to actually improve the outcome of the treatment and thereby improve lives for cancer patients. So we can go in and treat both as a first-line therapy, but also as a later stage therapy. And that's in fact what we are doing in our clinical trials that I will tell you more about. Now, if we look at what we have under the hood today in terms of Scandion's technology and pipeline, we start with some data where we have here a study in mice that has been subjected to a resistant tumor. And this actually shows the synergy between SCO-101 and chemotherapy. So what you see here is volume of the tumor, so the size of the tumor on the y-axis, and then you have time on the x-axis. Treatment with SCO-101 or chemotherapy, in this case, it's a taxane, has very little effect on the actual tumor growth. But it's clear to see that there's synergy when we combine SCO-101 with the chemotherapy. So we see a 63% reduction, and this is what we want to test in the clinic. And if we look at our most advanced clinical trial, we are testing SCO-101 in heavily pretreated metastatic colorectal cancer patients. So this is like the red avatar. And they have been treated with FOLFIRI, which is a chemotherapy, and SCO-101. And we expect that this will improve the outcome of the treatment. This trial is a phase 2 trial where we start out by establishing the optimal dose in part 1 and then expand directly into proof of concept study in part 2. Our second clinical trial is a phase 1b trial in metastatic pancreatic cancer. And this one is a very nasty cancer with very few treatment options. Here we are testing SCO-101 as a first-line therapy with the taxane, nab-paclitaxel, and gemcitabine. And therefore, I've indicated here with the blue avatar. Here we establish an optimal dose in part 1, and then we go back and ask the authorities, because it's a first-line therapy, to begin part 2 as a study of proof of concept. So this actually shows, taken together, the potential of SCO-101 in different cancers, but also both as an early treatment and as in already pre-treated cancers. So if we look at this taken together in our pipeline, this is the slide here. We actually have a pipeline which currently battle resistance to approximately 60% of the used chemotherapies. And 2020 was a pretty exciting year for Scandion, but I can tell you that 2021 is directed at a number of important inflection points coming from our pipeline. So we have our metastatic colorectal cancer trials and our pancreatic cancer trials that are already in motion that I talked about. We also have a breast cancer study on the drawing board. And finally, I think it's pretty important to emphasize that even though if SCO-101 that you see on the top here is very prominent on our pipeline, we are not a one-drug company. We are building a cancer drug resistance company, and there are compounds behind that are trailblazing, or behind our trailblazer SCO-101. So let's look at the actual catalysts in our pipeline, or from our pipeline. So as you can see, we have already completed some key milestones with SCO-101 in 2020. And we are expecting that our part 1 of our colorectal cancer trial will give us data that we can report in the second quarter of 21. And also our pancreatic cancer trial will read out in Q2, Q3 of 2021. And then we will conclude those trials. The colorectal cancer trial will have a conclusion on the proof of concept a year later, and the pancreatic cancer trial will come the following year. So many interesting milestones to look for with Scandion. Now, with our pipeline developing, I think it's fair also to look at the market that we are aspiring to in Scandion Oncology. Chemotherapy has been around for a while, but is still growing in market size, unfortunately, and is expected to reach a gigantic $50 billion in the coming years. One reason is that chemo is also being used in combination with novel modalities, as I talked about, like, for instance, the immunotherapies in order to increase effectiveness. And when you look at the market sort of with a projected annual growth of 12% in the next years, and this is by value, not by volume, which is more, it's unfortunately driven by an increasing incidence. And we can see that with some of the cancers that we have chosen. 18 million new cases of cancer annually in the world, and of those, a mortality of 9.5 million deaths annually. So this is a clear unmet need. And when you then put that against, or project that against, 90% of those cancer deaths are related to cancer drug resistance, and there are no registered drugs today that specifically targets this problem, there's a huge addressable market, but also a huge need for doing something for patients here. And what we expect is that the data that we generate with SCO-101 actually creates the path for pursuing partnerships in the international pharma space, which is where we are going. So if we look at our you can say our path here and strategy towards that, with our unique platform to screen out drugs against cancer drug resistance, we can continue to establish compounds on our pipeline, but we could also offer that in collaborations with pharma companies that wish to identify new anti-cancer drug resistance blockers from their libraries. And this gives us a chance to actually partner both early, but also from our pipeline in terms of generating revenues in the time to come from partnerships and licensing deals. So we are also exploiting strategic partnerships actually to establish Scandion strategically in the cancer drug resistance space, and that's where we want to go. So we can either partner for revenue as licensing fees and royalties to position our compounds in the business area. But what we are also doing is that we have entered, for instance, here with Alligator Bioscience into a strategic collaboration. Alligator Bioscience is working on immune therapeutics for cancer. And these types of immunotherapeutics, as I've mentioned a couple of times, are increasingly being used together with chemotherapy to make them more effective. And we are then testing SCO-101 together with chemo and IO, or immunotherapy, to validate the potential to open for SCO-101 and drugs against cancer drug resistance in immuno-oncology. And we expect the first readout here in the second quarter of 2021. Now, I want to go to sort of to recap, because the time is running here. And I would say, if you can only remember three things from this presentation, you should think Scandion is really targeting cancer drug resistance. And we are doing that based on well-documented actions in terms of science. And finally, I just want to introduce you to a few of the people behind this, because it's always about the people. So if we look at who's in this company, we have our founders, Niels Brunner and Jan Stenmark, but we also have collectively more than 100 years of developing cancer drugs. So these are people that know what they're doing. And I also want to say that I'm blessed with a strong board. I have both the Swedish Mr. Biotech in Carl Borbæk, and also Peter Høngaard Andersen, the Danish Mr. Biotech, and their merits speak for themselves. So with that said, I want to turn the attention to our fully guaranteed rights issue and just spend 1 minute on that. So right now, Scandion is is going through a fully guaranteed rights issue, and we are raising $236 million. Not dollars, Swedish krona, sorry. And you have, as a shareholder, you have subscription rights. So each share gives you a right, and with 2 subscription rights, you can buy 1 new share. And this is at a price of 22 Swedish krona. So I have to get used to in English saying Swedish krona. And if you see the dates here, we have the important dates at the bottom that you should familiarize yourself to if you want to participate in this. And then finally, I just want to say that I can direct you to our homepage, www.scandiononcology.com, and get more information. And here are also some other contact infos. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you very much, Bo, and then we'll move over to Q&A. And the first question is, you have an incredible CV, Bo. Why have you decided to become a CEO for such a small company like Scandion Oncology?
Well, thank you for that, you can say, nice presentation of my CV. I think, first of all, as I said, I feel strongly around being part of changing an imminent problem, which is really the fact that 90% of cancer deaths are related to cancer drug resistance. Everything starts small, and if you look in my CV, you can also see I've been in biotech in the past. And it doesn't mean that because we are small now, we will stay small forever. So I think I'm bringing the right balance of experience to actually take Scandion on in the next phase of our journey.
Okay, the next question is, are you in an NDA agreement with a previously unspecified partner? And if so, when can we expect more information about it?
So if I understood the question right, you're asking if I am in an NDA agreement. I would say to that question, all I can say is that all our publicly known relationships have been released to the press. So I have no further comments to that particular question.
Okay, we'll move over to the next question. You mentioned in an interview in October that you should be on track with your operations again as COVID-19 slowed you down. Would you say you're on track now?
Yes, I mean we are on track to the timelines that we have reported, the most recent timelines that we have reported to the market.
And you're intending to change the listing venue to Nasdaq First North Growth Market from Spotlight Stock Market. Why now?
Yeah, this we just announced today that this is our intent. I think that Scandion and you know I can say that coming in from October has been an immense success on Spotlight, and I guess that the company is now ready to take the next phase of its journey and move into Nasdaq space and thereby also be a venue and a showroom to more investors.
Okay, the next question is, we shareholders have been spoiled with news regarding business development and negotiations. Can one interpret that negotiations are on hold now because of you're doing a rights issue?
I mean, this is a very specific question to I'm not sure I'm able to address that, so I would say this is I have no further comments for that question.
Okay, we'll move to the next question. I assume you have a large networks of contacts in the US and the rest of the world. What do the contacts say about Scandion and their drug candidates? Do you notice any interest?
So there were several elements in that question. I suppose it was referring to my network. I have a substantial network from working in the pharma industry internationally for years, and I think that you can say the idea about a company addressing cancer drug resistance is appealing to people in the industry.
Okay, we'll take the last question. What kind of update will shareholders get surrounding the ongoing pancreatic cancer study?
So what I can say is that I've just reported our timeline for reporting on studies, and we will conduct our clinical studies. We will conclude them and make sure that we report conclusive data to the market from our clinical studies. And from the pancreatic cancer trial, we are expecting that that our phase 1b, so the dose range finding study, will read out in Q2, Q3 of 2021.
Okay, Bo, thank you very much for your presentation, and we'll take a short break before the next company. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.